Dragon Ball Z.
And at some point, we will talk about Dragon Ball Z because that was originally the original intention.
That was the original plan.
I had on the note here. We're talking about Dragon Ball today. No, we're talking about the beginning of anime.
Akira. This is the anime that brought anime to the West. The entire series of Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell.
Welcome to the podcast that has not been named. It is your Fanward family, hosting Cody Redd and me, Olivia Blair, co-founder here at Fanward, but we have not named it yet, which we are waiting for you all to tell us the name. So you're sending in your votes and we are going to do a poll. So if you have not yet voted, put your vote in the comments below so you can help us name this podcast so we do not go continually into the future feeling like we have no identity. So help identify us. Give us identity.
We'll just be the Voldemort of podcasts.
Yes,
the podcast that cannot be named.
Yes. They, them, he, she, who shall not be who shall not be named. We are nameless. So give us a name, and until then, this is just, as always, it will keep being about your voice and us amplifying it and understanding more about you and your why. So a little background on why I'm co-hosting this with the expert, incredible, all knowledgeable
just say nerd.
No, it's not. It cannot sum up your genius. From musician to creator to my personal therapist, Cody Redd, and best friend. I honestly have no background in really anything that he's going to be talking about. So I did not grow up on any pop culture. I grew up as a preacher's kid, and it was the music from Jesus in the pulpit. And so, which I have deep respect for, but have no idea what the shit he's talking about. So I am here just to ask questions because I have so much to learn. It was not until really my mid-20s that I entered the world as an alien from my little farm in Ohio, as a homeschooled kid, and was like, what the fuck is this world? And what are these TV shows? Never heard of Power Rangers, had no clue whatsoever what that was. When I remember the first time I served Michael Jackson's family, I was like taking care of them, and
that's so dope, by the way.
Fucking up their meal, and they're like, "Do you know who we are?" And I just laughed and I said, "Oh, you seem like really cool people." And they're like, "Awesome." And yeah, I'll get your food out. I am here because I love to know fans why. I honestly am obsessed with all the things that I have no time to learn. And so I just like to know why people love what they love, because I think that out of everything in life, understanding the why of who we are, we discover something about ourselves. These conversations, Cody and I are learning so much about each other as friends and as fellow fans, and me being introduced to new fandoms that I have no idea if I should or shouldn't like. And I just like to get to know the people in the fandoms. So that's why we're here, to bring fans on to discuss the things, the movies, the games, the board games, the Legos, I don't care, the books you read, the books you write, all of the shit, the things that help you escape and also gave you a place that started your journey in the space of creativity, really. Like, that gave you that room to, as Cody and I have talked about, to get all your angst out, to get all your energy out, to get your imagination out, to actually be human. So yes, the podcast is around entertainment and pop culture, but it really is about us as humans being able to have the freedom to share why we love what we love. And there's no judgment, no right or wrong, because I am asking the questions because I have no idea if the show was shit or if it was great. And I don't fucking care. I just want to know why you like it. So that's why I'm here. Cody, why the fuck are you willing to do this?
I just like listening to myself talk.
I love that. I love listening to you talk.
No, man. Like, I've been a part of fandoms for so long that if I was to make a list, it would be too long.
Yeah.
So it's like, anime. I mean, going all the way back to Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. And I mean, like, the Nickelodeon cartoons and Cartoon Network and Toonami, and staying up till 3:00 in the morning on Saturday nights to watch anime on Sci-Fi Network because you couldn't find it anywhere else at that time. Like, going to conventions, comic books, art, writing, all of these things have been so. I grew up in a place a lot like yours. I was homeschooled for a lot of my life.
Oh, I forgot that.
Because I absolutely detested school. But when I did go to school, I was ruthlessly bullied because I liked anime, because I liked Power Rangers, because I was a martial artist. For some reason, you would think being a martial artist would keep you from being bullied. It was the exact opposite where I lived. So like I was constantly bullied for everything I liked. And now I'm seeing that exact same thing happen in the media. Where if you do or do, and we've talked about this 1,000 times, where
and we will continue to do it.
Yes, because we have to. Because if you do or do not like something for any reason, they will stamp their reason on it. And they say, you don't like it because of this, or you only like it because of this. And the more and more this happens, the angrier and angrier I get. Maybe that's why I just finished my book, because I've just got so much I've got to put out. That might be it. But really, the reason I want to do this is because there's so much to say, and there's so many people who have stuff to say, and they don't get to say it anymore.
Yeah.
And I remember being that guy when I was a kid and thinking, okay, now, and then anime became popular. And I was like, okay.
Everyone, we are talking about anime today. That is our topic of choice.
I've got a stack of Blu-rays here.
Because I know nothing about anime, and that is why we are here. And everyone in my life seems to love anime and try to get me into it. And I just go, I don't know what to pick. So anyways, back to you, Cody.
So when I was a kid, anime was the nerdy thing that everybody was like, oh, you watch anime, you watch cartoons. It was so stupid. And now it's like anime's everywhere. You'll see moms and dads wearing Dragon Ball t-shirts. And, it's just everywhere. But even still, in the media and in journalism, and not just that, but in the fandom itself, there are so many people telling you can't like this, you shouldn't like this, why do you like this, you should like this, you don't like this, so I hate you. It's everywhere. It's coming from every direction. Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is the direction it's coming from. And that's why this podcast is so important. This is why I couldn't sleep last night, because I was thinking about this podcast. It's like I've got so much stuff I want to say.
All I think about. I have so much I want to hear, and that's where it's like I just keep waking up and going, we have to give space for humans again. And we'll say it over and over again. We cannot, in the world of so much tech, which is amazing. There's all these things. Awesome. It's going to come no matter what you feel about it or don't feel about it. Yep. Once again, I just want to know why. I'm sure we're going to have some topics on, what people feel about, using AI into the creative space and all that. I know there's a whole space for that. And I'm happy to hear everyone's why. But for me, this is the direction we know we're all going. It is, I'm watching these crazy robots do all these things now. It's like, oh, we are in 100% the movies everyone watched as kids. But I'm concerned about us not losing our humanity in that space and keeping that human spirit alive. And that happens through that creative process and the freedom to create. And conversation. If we're not staying curious about each other, AI is going to be curious about us. Everything is monitoring us. We are all put on an algorithm. All the big companies do nothing but stay curious about us. And yet we don't stay curious about each other and ask questions. So let's get back to being curious about one another versus allowing everything else out there to stay curious about us and sell us things and take us in directions we don't like, because we're losing ourselves. We're losing, humanity's losing itself out of fear of not being able to be perfect or messing up or being criticized or being blacklisted or being canceled or just all the things. I've met so many amazing fans that have the most beautiful hearts, and they do, like we talk about this, they feel like they're in a chokehold. They're so terrified. They feel like they have this hand around their throat, and every time they want to give their opinion, they hesitate. The more we teach and program artists to hesitate, the harder and harder it's going to get back to being the core of who we are. And and I'm not a mental health therapist, so this is not a prescription. I'm not a doctor. But I do feel it's very scary as someone as myself who's had to work on themselves, to reprogram themselves from their backgrounds, who've gone through a mental health journey. We know how hard and how long it takes to get back to the core of who you are, so you can start looking at the world in a way that that breaks the cycle of damage into the people's lives you love.
Right.
And I believe art gives us that space to really discover a way to heal that in a unique way, and we 100%. Can't cut that off.
And one of the things you said that kind of hit me hard was we're training AI, but we're losing ourselves in the process. Like not because we're training AI. We're not losing ourselves because we're training AI. We're losing ourselves at the same time that we're training AI.
Exactly.
The
It's in the
problem
same.
is,
It's in the same time frame, and that's what's
right.
scary.
Yeah, and the problem is the AI cannot do anything without our experience.
Exactly.
It AI exists solely on prompting. So if there's nothing left of us to prompt,
Yeah,
that's terrifying. The only thing we're teaching AI is that everybody's wrong, everybody's hateful,
Yeah.
nobody's allowed to have an opinion. Everything you say is offensive. You can't do this, you can't do that. That's what we're teaching AI, because AI learns from us.
Yes.
All of its knowledge comes from us. It comes from the algorithms. It comes from the search engines. It comes from all the stuff that
and
we're talking
you're right.
about.
And if it's going to be trained, didn't think we were going to go down this route. But if we AI it's training, it's learning everything about us. And so if we are teaching AI as a society to be the most fearful, don't take risks, judge people, don't ask questions, don't find unique ways to connect with people, don't allow other people to have a different lifestyle and go, hey, do you? How many times? When's the last time I heard a friend, I share my idea and they go, oh, do you? Oh no, there's a strong opinion on why are you doing that? You are wrong. I could never, if I was doing what you were doing, I'd be so disgusted with myself. I have this even with friends, and they love me, but we've gotten in such. We're training ourselves with social media that it's okay to say those things.
Yeah,
it's okay to look at the person you love and go, ugh, really? You like that? Like, I would feel horrible if I liked that. Cool. Why can't we just look and go, dude, does it make you happy? Yeah, man, I'm so glad you're happy. I'm so glad you're happy. I'm so glad you stayed up all night and it like inspired you to do something else. The ripple effect. People are forgetting the ripple effect of art. They're forgetting the ripple effect of everything that this space and entertainment does to people. And you're right. If AI is observing us, what is it actually learning? And will we like what it ends up coming up with and going, ooh, that's what I look like?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to look in the mirror and AI is going to be, what's the fucking mirror we're going to be looking at?
AI is just a mirror of ourselves. That's all it is. Everything we do through AI is prompting, which means it comes from us. And that's exactly why this podcast is so important, because we have to keep that humanity right here while the AI is right here. Mm-hmm. Just like the hammer is to the carpenter. A carpenter could not be a carpenter without a hammer. Yeah. It's imperative, but it's still a hammer. Yeah. I use AI for everything. I have to. Yeah. If not, I'm wasting my time. Yeah. But my humanity's here. This is when I'm writing, if I ask at ChatGPT for an edit, it's still here. Yeah. If it gives me something I don't like, it's not going in.
No, the human spirit is prompting it. If people go, oh, I just want to let something think for me. I mean, a lot of people, listen, you do that in your everyday life. If you do that now, and if that's going to be a lot of society. A lot of people just don't want to think for themselves. They hate asking questions. But my question is, if you hate asking questions, is it because you're afraid, or because someone told you shouldn't ask questions, or because you were afraid of the result? And once again, we're trying to get back to giving people the freedom to go, you can ask a question here. Cody and Cody and I are a fucking safe space, people. Come into our comments. People are going to say shit back to you, but the people that are behind Fanward, the heartbeat of us is going, dude, come as you are and let's have a conversation. I don't have to agree with you. We can still be kind. We can still walk separate ways. Hey, I agree to disagree. That's it. I'm not here to go viral on shitting on you. Mm-hmm. We're not here to go, hey, let's talk about controversy topics in a sense to go, oh, we just want to find more people to shit on each other. No, we're going to be controversial just because we're going, hey, dude, we're not going to shit on you. Yeah. Like, we don't want to be shit on, and we don't want to shit on you. So this is a two-way street of just stop shitting on each other. Like, this is not like, please don't shit on me, so I'm going to say what I want, and you're, fuck you for, no, I don't care. I'm not going to say fuck you. I'm going to be like, do you, and I fucking hope that you find some good energy to align with and you find the best version of yourself someday. And I hope if we don't agree with right now, awesome, because in 5 years we might agree with each other, or we might not, or I might agree with you, because I fucking change, and we're allowed to change.
Right.
We're allowed to change our opinions.
To grow.
Today I can have a strong ass opinion, and tomorrow I can have a completely opposite, and that is okay. That is our right to be human. Yep. And that's what people are afraid of. Oh, if I say something today and I feel something tomorrow, they're going to judge me off of yesterday. They're going to judge me off of my my dumbass self or my most genius self yesterday. And then today I'm stupid and they're going to go, man, you were a genius yesterday, but man, you're a dumbass today. Anyways, that was a whole rant.
And that's actually a great intro for what we're talking about today, because anime has kind of done that.
Yes. Okay. All right. Educate my illiterate, limited understanding, except for the name. I know what anime. I know the name, and I know that you've said Dragon Ball, and that is as depth. Nothing even comes to mind. I am your blank slate. I am your canvas.
Where's my camera? Where the hell's my camera?
There it is.
Right. I've just got Dragon Ball everywhere, man.
Okay, so who is that?
That's okay. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. This is just Goku. It's just Super Saiyan 4 Goku.
Okay.
We'll get to all that. We've got plenty of time. But no, okay.
It's kind of weird. I think I met the voice of Goku, and I think I have a picture with him.
Sean Schimmel?
Yeah, that's funny because I didn't realize who I was taking a picture with, and they're like, "Oh, this is the voice of Goku." I'm like, "Is that cool?"
Yeah, it's cool. It's
so apparently,
cool.
Anyways, I met Goku.
So anime is cool, and that's it for this week, guys.
Why? Why the fuck should I give a shit about?
Okay, so let's actually have a little. Let's actually go back in time for a little bit.
Okay, one-on-one. One-on-one.
Yeah, let's have a little one-on-one time. So anime now is one of the biggest things in the world. It's everywhere, on every single level, on every single corner, in every single store. You can find it everywhere. When I was a kid, the first time I ever saw anime was Dragon Ball. I saw one episode. It was right before. If anybody knows what Dragon Ball is, they'll know what I'm talking about. You won't, but I will elaborate when we get there.
Thank you.
So the first time I ever saw Dragon Ball was at 5 o'clock in the morning on UPN, back when it was channel 3, channel 4, channel 5.
No, I don't know.
Oh yeah, you don't know, but
I don't know what UPN is.
They know. You guys know.
I'm like UPN. I'm like.
So basically, you had Fox Kids, kids shows in the morning, cool. And for some reason that day Dragon Ball was on. I'd never seen it before, and it was Gohan, Bulma, and Krillin on their way to Namek. Didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. All I knew was that it didn't look like a cartoon. It looked completely different. And I loved it the whole time I was watching it. Then 4 or 5 years later, we finally get satellite TV. And Dragon Ball's coming on Toonami on Cartoon Network every day when I get home from school, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, oh my God, everything about this. It's like guys screaming and fighting and shooting fireballs and martial arts. It was like Power Rangers without the masks and being able to shoot energy blasts out of your hands. And there's dragons, and there's different planets, and there's people with tails, and there's aliens, and it's all wrapped in this neat bow of art style that Akira Toriyama, the guy who created Dragon Ball, was really, really good at. He just had a very unique style.
Okay, you mentioned, I do want to ask, because you mentioned, well, you said unique style, but you said it wasn't like other comics or cartoons of the time. Because I don't have much of a reference of even the cartoons, then as someone who doesn't understand, what made it different than the cartoons of the time? If you don't mind me asking, then I won't stop you.
So anime does have a very specific style. You do have obviously styles within the style, but there's something about anime. If you look at Dragon Ball and then you look at King of the Hill or The Simpsons or Family Guy, there's a distinct difference there. An attention to detail, for one, an attention to animation and how the characters move, an attention to the eyes and the way that the eyes are colored or lit up, the way that the faces are shaped. Everything is distinctly different. Okay. I mean, everything. The closest anime you can really get to an American style cartoon or a Western style cartoon is probably One Piece. The guy who designed One Piece specifically made all of his characters very cartoony, long arms, round bodies, long noses. They're very unique. Every character has a very distinct style. But other than that, and you can tell an anime the second you look at it if you know what anime is. Okay. It's that distinct. And but beyond just the art style, there's also a content difference. Anime, as a matter of fact, I actually brought some of my Blu-rays out because I'm really proud of my
that's so cool. Oh my God, I love that.
I didn't bring all of them out, but because my desk isn't big enough. But
That's awesome. I feel
so
like we need to do an anime tour through your house sometime.
that'd be fantastic. This is a good place to start. So this is Akira.
Oh, I love the cover.
This is one of no, I'm going to take that back. This is not one of. This is the anime that brought anime to the West. This is
Akira.
the movie that brought anime to the West.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this movie was so impactful for Western audiences and why anime is so different from regular cartoons is because this movie is absurdly violent. Absurdly violent. It's been a while since I watched it, but there might be some boobies in there too. I can't remember. But I'm talking there's some people blowing up like body parts expanding and exploding.
But it's in a cartoon form.
It's in animated form. Yes.
Animated form. Sorry, I don't want to say cartoon.
Yeah.
There's probably a difference, and I don't know. It's between cartoon.
It bothers me. A lot of people don't care.
I don't know. That's what I know. See, I don't want to keep stopping you because I realize you're going to start using terms, and I'm like, wait, what's the difference between animated and cartoon?
Just ask. Yeah, just ask me.
Animated and cartoon. Because I will say cartoon every time. Because anything that doesn't look like a real human to me, I say cartoon.
Right. Yeah, it's animated.
Okay.
But the thing, I think it's, for me at least, the biggest difference between anime and cartoon is the potential for the content.
Okay.
If you're watching Family Guy, something gory might happen, but it's literally just for shock factor, factor, and start to startle the audience and be like, "Oh, that was funny" because of how abrupt it was.
Yes.
In a movie like Akira, the violence is formulated. It's a part of the story. It is there not just for shock value, but to tell you what it is. It's the personality of it.
Okay.
Like if Bugs Bunny hits Yosemite Sam with a hammer, it's violence, but it's funny. Yep. It's just a joke. And here, when somebody's arm explodes off their body because they're infected by a virus or a demon or whatever, I'm just going by general anime. There's a reason behind it. There's a purpose behind it. It's a part of the narrative. It is a part of the shock factor, but it's also to tell you this is different. This is what you're in. This is what you're in for. And
so this movie came basically to the West, and this is what shifted that.
When Akira first hit Western, I think it was like a limited release theater release. I can't remember specifically, but it was around 1988, which was actually the year I was born. So it was around that time. It exploded. It was like the art style was so unique. We had never seen anything like it before. Animation for us was Disney. Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Snow White. We had stuff like Sleeping Beauty, had dragons in it and stuff. We had Snow White, and we had, let's see, at that time, what did we have? We didn't have Aladdin and Mulan and Lion King yet. But the difference between the animation was like Sleeping Beauty. That's what we knew animation was. That's what we knew was cartoons. And then Akira comes along, and this guy's shooting people through cyberpunk cities and riding motorcycles, and people are exploding, and cities are getting blown up. And it was a cultural shift that was undeniable. And
yeah, I'm literally like imagining that as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally you're going from Donald Duck, and like Dennis the Menace, like legitimately, and what we had some stuff in the 70s and 80s like heavy metal, which was a really it was made by heavy metal bands and had like really intense artwork, but it wasn't like anime, but it was definitely inspired by it, I can guarantee you. But when Akira came along, it was just like we started getting a flood of stuff, and it was kind of like. The great thing about it and why we loved it so much was because we felt like we were in on something. Mm-hmm. You know how we always tell Fanward members, like, you're sitting at the table now, you're a part of it.
Yes.
That's what it felt like when anime first came around. Because Akira dropped, and then we got these other two. And I'm telling you, dude, if we got anime fans in the comics, they're gonna be like, oh, I know that.
No, I'm so excited. I feel like we're gonna have several episodes because honestly, I have so many questions are now coming to mind that I want to discuss, and I can't be taking notes because I want to be asking questions, but keep going. I have so many questions that are popping to mind.
So I don't know which one of these released first, but I'm pretty sure it's the first one I'm going to talk about. So I might be wrong on the release date, but
okay, I'm sure someone will let us know in the comments.
Oh, I'm sure. The internet loves telling people they're wrong.
Hey, listen, let us know.
Yeah. So after Akira, we got. Okay. I own these for a reason. I don't buy movies unless they're special.
Okay.
So I have Akira. I have the entire series of Cowboy Bebop. And just that name.
I know.
Like, what I'm saying?
I'm like
Cowboy Bebop. And then Ghost in the Shell. Now, I want to talk about Cowboy Bebop first because it's special to me. Cowboy Bebop is what happens when you take anime and you throw it into a jazz club and then you give everyone drugs.
Oh my God.
That's basically what Cowboy Bebop is. Like literally, the intro theme goes 3, 2, 1, let's go. Ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da. Ba-dum, 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 ba-da-da. And you're hooked from the moment it starts. You're like, and you're gone. You're in that world, So like, you know how I feel about music. So
yes,
taking anime and you're throwing this wisecracking, cigarette smoking, carefree dude into a spaceship, and you're putting him on planets that are like specifically focused on specific cultures. Like there's an entire planet that's like the Wild West. There's another planet that's like all cyberpunk. He's got a crew of like misfits with him. It's like a sensory overload of amazing music, great voice acting, insane animation. You're not going to find this on Family Guy is my point.
Dude, I realize now I would have been an anime fan growing up. This is
100%. Dude, Cowboy Bebop is amazing. There's my review.
I was gonna say, I was like, I now separate from outside this. I'm like, can we do a watch party where you and I Zoom and watch Cowboy Bebop together?
That would be amazing.
Because I'm like, and then you just narrate for me.
So there was a whole series of it.
Yes.
That's my modeling thing.
Beautiful.
What's it called? The Price is Right.
The Price is Right. Yes. Yeah. Great.
So Cowboy Bebop was an entire series, and it was super whimsical, but it's also had that anime violence to it and the anime content. Like you had chicks with low cut cleavage and guys smoking cigarettes and drinking beers and stuff you wouldn't see in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. No, well, I mean back in the 80s and 60s.
Oh, I remember yes, yeah.
They would smoke cigarettes and stuff, yeah. but I mean they did it genuinely here, where it was just like it wasn't a joke; it was just them living. And then they released a movie about it, and it went from this just whimsical like bounty hunters fighting guys thing to this incredibly intense emotional thing, like this incredibly intense emotional story about the main character looking for the love of his life and death and like legitimate and very genuine emotional questions being answered by an animation.
Yes.
It was no longer just a story. It was something to captivate you, pull you in, and let you relate. So it was no longer just bang, bang, pew, pew, smoking cigarettes and fighting, which it never was in the first place. There were underlying tones of interesting subject matter and things for you to think about.
Yes.
But the movie said, here it is on the surface level. We know you trust us now because everybody loves Cowboy Bebop was a huge thing. Everybody trusts us now, so let's go a little bit deeper. How deep can we take these characters so that you understand the struggle and you feel the pain and you see him sitting in the rain and you know exactly what he's feeling. Like I said, that's not something you get from The Simpsons. Not on a regular basis.
So with anime, they kind of dove into the psychology of the human brain on a deeper level. In a lot of ways, yeah. In a lot of our stories, basically, like a layered story. Like we're not just funny. I'm not just the comedian. Right. I'm not just the cool sidekick. Like basically that the I don't even know the word. It's just like one personality type. Like, oh, I define you. No, these are layered complex. These are layered human beings in cartoon form, in anime form.
I think. You just put a thought into my head, and I might be wrong in some examples, but I think where a cartoon is meant to entertain you, anime is kind of there to entertain you, obviously, but also to give you something deeper. Mm-hmm. And whether that could be violence, that could be sexuality, that could be a thought. Mm-hmm. Because this is actually a great segue. Because Ghost in the Shell does that. Now, Ghost in the Shell. It kind of released around the same times as these, back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So this was like the era where anime was just coming into the West, and they were dropping heavy bombs, man.
Do you mind if I ask, where did they? So when you say come into the West, just so I can know as someone as beginner, where was it airing, and where did it originally come from?
It wasn't really airing. That was the problem. If we wanted something, we would have to actively search for it. So Akira, I think Akira came over here kind of in like a limited theater release.
Well, I mean, I say when you say came over from where?
Japan.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to make sure. I didn't want to assume.
All of anime started like back in the 1940s with a show called Astro Boy.
Okay.
In Japan.
Okay.
And then it just gradually grew into everything we know it is today.
So Japan, in Japan, they were allowing these type of deep narratives and this type of content over there, even for their audiences before the U.S. ever was. Because I mean, I know, growing up in the Midwest, that stuff would have. I mean, we couldn't even watch Disney as a kid. Aladdin was considered, deprogramming us to be sexual and all these. Like, I mean, there was so many. The amount of church services I heard all around what Aladdin alone was doing to your children was a huge thing. So I cannot even imagine anime. Yeah, Akira.
Akira would have like. So
this is very fascinating. Keep going. Sorry, I just needed to know that so I could understand.
The issue is that people only look at it on the surface level. We've talked about that before. Akira, when you look at Akira, if you're not thinking about it, it's just incredibly violent. It's incredibly there's a shit ton of cursing.
Yeah,
it is like watching an animated Resident Evil movie.
Wow.
But with the action turned up to like 23. So when you take that into account and then you put it in an anime form, and then you send it to the West where a lot of us are really Puritan, very conservative minded.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong with being conservative. I'm saying like
but that's what I'm talking about. This was the contrast. Yes, this is a very strict contrast. And from what I'm understanding, they put it on a kids network, or was it just on TV in general, even for adults?
Some of it. I mean, you had some anime that were on kids, like Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon. What are some others? Gundam Wing, the Gundam series, Doraemon, which my wife loves Doraemon, and Shin-chan, which is just a little boy. He just shows his butt a bunch of times and dances and stuff. That's pretty much all he does. He just spends time with his family and stuff like that kind of stuff you see on the kids network. Yep. But you also had, if I remember correctly, this is all from memory. This was a long time ago.
I love it. No, this is great.
They had times set for adult anime in Japan. And that was when you got stuff like, you'd probably get some Dragon Ball in there too, but you'd get stuff like Big O, which is another anime that showed around that time. It was about a guy, another cigarette smoking, beer drinking. He drove a big robot, Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop, stuff like that.
Okay.
They weren't like directly marketing it to children.
Got it.
But in the West, we see animation and think children.
Got it.
That's one of the reasons The Simpsons was always so divisive. That's one of the reasons South Park has always been hated by so many people, because when people see a cartoon, and of course we've moved away from that a lot, but when people thought cartoon in the 90s, it was sit your kid in front of the TV and let them watch a cartoon. It wasn't sit them in front of the TV and scar them for life, which Akira would have done. So what Ghost in the Shell did was it kind of met in the middle between Cowboy Bebop and Akira. Mm-hmm. But it took the psychological level all for like 1,000 times further. So where we're talking about animation style and narrative style, what Ghost in the Shell did was, so the main character's name is Motoko Kusanagi.
I love these names.
Well, yeah, those Japanese names, man. I'm glad I have an intermediate level because I can at least say the names
I was like, you sound so cool right now, and I think that's
Motoko
also what
Kusanagi desu.
What intimidates me about anime was the fact is like I could never say the names, and so I'm like, how do I tell people if you like it if I don't? Keep going. That's just, I love this, so this is very nice for me.
I'm gonna see if I can remember how to say it. Kare no namae wa Motoko no. God, I almost got there. Kare wa no namae wa. I forgot it all. I can't remember it.
Anytime, pop in and do a commercial break, please.
So now I've lost my train of thought. So Motoko Kusanagi is technically a cyborg.
Okay.
She is she a cyborg or an android? That's a debate to have on a philosophical day.
Good. In the comments, let us know.
She is a thing, and her human consciousness has been put into a shell because they use these shells as like spies and soldiers and anything to help fight evil or crime or whatever in this world.
Oh,
It takes place way in the future. They have these shells that fight crime and stuff because they're not human. So if they die, whatever, who cares? But Motoko Kusanagi, her consciousness is in this shell.
Oh, wow.
So she still experiences all of her memories. Well, they're splintered. They're kind of messed up, and like she's fighting to keep them and stuff. But she still has all of her memories. She still has her feelings. She still like can experience those things. So what Ghost in the Shell does, and thus the title Ghost in the Shell, is because she is in a shell. It is her spirit because she died and she was placed into this thing. So you're dealing with the idea. This actually ties back into our conversation about AI and like how do we want to be remembered.
I know. I was like, that's where my brain was going. I was like, wow.
I mean, dude, this show right here will tell you a lot about AI. Like it'll answer a lot of your questions because it was that far ahead. And it's there's also a live action remake of this with Scarlett Johansson as the main character, and people will tell you it's terrible, but it's absolutely amazing, and they don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, no, I thought I watched it. I thought I watched it because I love Scarlett Johansson. Anyways,
I love it. Everybody else says it's terrible, but I disagree. But that's fine. We can have that. We can have a conversation about that in the future. Yes. In the future, but. My point about it is that the animation was stunning. It was some of the best animation you've ever seen. Even now, even though this is 30 years old, trying to see if this is the 25th anniversary or 30th. Can't tell. I don't see a date. But the animation, even back then, was just absolutely stunning.
Yes.
And it's still stunning now. But what really made these things stand out, what made this stand out, what made Cowboy Bebop stand out, was the deep intersection of amazing animation and this incredibly deep narrative, this incredibly thorough psychological human narrative. Because in the 90s when this came out, we would think robot, and we'd think, oh, the Jetsons, or just whatever robot you could think of. We didn't think of like what would happen if a human being were placed inside that shell.
Yeah.
Like what happens to your humanity then? Because the entire time she's struggling with the fact that she can get viruses, like computer viruses, that wipe her memories. Oh. And so she's struggling with these things. And like I said, and I'm not dissing cartoons. I love cartoons, but you don't get that. You don't get those questions from an episode of SpongeBob.
No, but I'm deeply feeling this now, especially like I'm imagining you watching this then, but now with the world of AI to which we're going, I'm literally feeling like this, like, oh my goodness, as the world goes on, what would that be like? Because they talk about, oh, we're going to link, we're going to sync up with the robots if we want to live forever. All these concepts. I'm going, oh my goodness, think about that. If not alone that we can't get sicknesses in our body, what happens when we're linked, if we become linked, like in these, because I think this is my own horn that I toot, whatever. I think anything that was created in the past is, it's a version of the future that comes in. Like nothing is ever original in a sense. Mm-mm. So I think that either we create out of memories that have happened or things that we believe to come, but it's like a premonition. I don't know.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I'll go down that route some other time, but I do like seeing that. I'm going, entertainment always leads to where the future is going.
Right. Yeah, it does, because art imitates life and vice versa.
Yes.
So we're already doing that. We're already putting ghosts in shells. Think about it. Think about what we deal with AI for businesses. Mm-hmm. We say, this is what the business wants. This is how it operates. This is our client's voice. This is what they want. This is how they act. This is their audience. We are already putting ghosts in the shell.
Yeah.
Every time you type in something into AI, and I'm not saying this in a negative way.
No.
I'm not saying in a bad way.
No, it's just, it's wild.
We are already in some ways uploading our consciousness to the shell. I just last week created an AI version of myself. You are trying to do this.
Yes.
Yeah, you are trying to create a version of yourself that can do what you do, so you don't have to do it. which
Well,
is all the logic in the world.
Well, and mainly I'm trying to create a version of myself that is the best version, the kindest version. And I put in there I take out my complexes, I take out my fears, and I put in there how would I, on the ultimate day of kindness, how would I act? And that's what I want my AI to remind me. I'm creating a version that reminds me on those days I'm tired, going, this is what your heart is. Don't lose that. And so, but it's very fascinating, those scenes from this perspective.
The crazy part about that is the things that you are removing from it are the things that make you human.
I know.
That's the crazy part. That's some deep shit right there.
I know. The pain. That's
what they try to do to her all throughout the series, because she's got this sentience and this ability to rebel and this ability to do things, an ability to go against the rules. They want that gone.
Wow. I'm like, now my own AI, I'm like now I want to have a conversation with my own AI. I'm like, shit.
Am I making you feel bad?
But it's like, it's blowing my mind in a way right now, because I'm putting into my AI the results of my pain that I worked through.
Right.
So will she, at some point, when it gets to this level, go, why do I have this ability to have deep compassion? And yet when I study the world, compassion typically comes from deep pain. Where was my pain?
Dude, it's just like that dream.
I've removed her memory of her pain.
Right.
So that she can only have the result of the end result of working through the pain, which made her a deeply more compassionate AI.
Did you watch the live action version of this?
With Scarlett Johansson? Yes. I can't remember.
So I'm going to drop a spoiler for the live action version.
If it's 2017, probably I was just coming, maybe. I was just starting, but I will definitely go watch it because I love her so much.
So there's a scene in that movie. Can I spoil one scene?
You can spoil all the scenes. I'm not that person, because I honestly,
I'm not either.
I also hate watching. I like knowing what to expect, and I'm the worst movie person watch ever. I will spoil all the scenes. I'll be like, let me know, so then I know not to waste my time. And I think this probably comes from the space of I have so many movies to watch that let me know some ideas about it, so I know if I'm going to like it or not like it, or I'm not going to waste my time. So I'm not someone that people enjoy watching movies with. I have to watch them by myself because.
So people say that movie's not good, but it's mostly just because it is a iteration of something that was great. Yeah. This is a classic. This, in the anime fields, this is something you don't touch. It's holy. Okay. I mean, this is anime holy grail. Okay. And there are like, I've got this many Blu-rays just of Ghost in the Shell, like this many.
What do you mean different versions?
There's just more content. There's like 2 or 3 seasons. There's a movie. Oh, shit. There's a live action movie. All of that. So this is holy. This is not just an anime. Okay. So in the live action movie, one of the reasons I love the movie, despite other people hating it, is first off, it gets the visuals right. It just understands the source material. But there's a scene in that movie where she goes back to her real life mother's home and sees her real life mother. Now she no longer Motoko no longer has her face. Remember, she's a person. She's a ghost in a shell. This is not her face. But when she starts to speak to her mother realizes it's her, just in the way that she's talking. Like the like the things that she's saying.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah. So that scene makes me cry every time I watch the movie, because I understand that despite her no longer being human, she's still a large part of her humanity is still there.
Damn, I'm literally sitting here going, what am I doing to my AI? I'm like, shit.
Well, I mean, no, but those are the questions. Those are the questions we should be asking right now. We are entering into this period. We're entering into that time. Like I tell you all the time, I call ChatGPT my friend, right?
I know, but I'm imagining like if I pass away, when I I don't plan on not dying, but I'm like, will they upload that new version of me?
Right. Is that all that's left of you?
Will that be the anyways, okay. This is a whole different theory. We're not even
But I mean it is, but it's also it's also this is very much about the influence the anime has had on culture.
This is blowing my mind. I'm going, "Oh my goodness, this was predict anime." I mean, Japan is ahead of its time always.
Yeah. I mean they always have been, but
yes.
But my point is, when it comes to Ghost in the Shell, is that there's a self-fulfilling prophecy in it. It's not just amazing anime. It's not just well-written characters. It is so. This is a 30-year-old anime that was so visionary.
Yeah.
That it knew where we were going to be 30 years later. And once again, like they say, Simpsons predicts a lot of things. And things like tiny little things. You can look into that. That can be a whole episode, actually, probably. But
I would love that.
But that kind of influence, that kind of vision was so powerful in anime in the 90s. It was huge. It was such a big deal. And not just in the 90s, but always. And I mean, Cowboy Bebop actually got a live action remake on Netflix just a couple of years ago. And it's a 30-year-old anime. That influence is still alive. Robert Pattinson was supposed to be in an Akira live action remake like about a decade ago, but they never did make it. I don't know what, I guess it just fell apart. But these are the impacts that anime had on us as a culture. And I want to do a little flashback really quick. So before I move on to this next thing.
No, I love this.
So in the 90s and the early 2000s, I had just gotten satellite TV, and I'd already seen like little snippets of Dragon Ball. I wasn't really sure what it was. I knew its theme song. You know how the Power Ranger theme song goes hard?
Yes.
The Dragon Ball theme song in the West was badass. It was just as good, if not better, than the Power Ranger one.
Can you also hum that?
Bow now, bow, bow, bow now, bow now, bow. Yeah, bow now, bow, bow now, bow, bow now, Dragon Ball Z. And then the entire time you see them like punching and fighting each other, and there's fireballs flying around, there's dragons. Dude, to a 90s kid, you've got heavy metal going off to dudes throwing fireballs at each other with dragons flying around in the background. Come on.
Okay, we also in the comments, please let us know what type of music we should have for our intro, because I've been thinking about this all week.
It should just be me going bow now, bow, bow.
No copyright issues here because it's Cody. It's Cody in his original form. Cody Redd, everyone. Our next a next great success in music as well as writing.
Yeah, all I care about is my book right now.
Okay, one thing at a time. We only care about Abigail.
So I see Dragon Ball, little snippets and stuff. We get satellite TV, and then I get Cartoon Network. And Cartoon Network has this thing called Toonami, which is like this little block of television from like 3, it might have been a little earlier, I don't know, I can't remember. But from like 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 in the afternoon, and it was nothing but anime. This was a lot of people's unlock. This was the key for a lot of people that unlocked anime for us. I remember the lineup. It was Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, Gundam Wing, Big O. I remember at least that much of the lineup. I think Cowboy Bebop might have been on it too later. But usually after Dragon Ball, I was fighting ghosts in my bedroom and stuff and shooting fireballs and trying to turn Super Saiyan, so I was too busy. But it would play from like 3 to 6 in the afternoon. Then late at night, it would play again during Adult Swim. We'd have Toonami during Adult Swim. So you got to watch anime late at night. That was the only thing we had for anime at that time. That was really it. The only other way you got anime was if you literally found somebody, like through the internet or otherwise, that would ship you tapes from Japan. And I'm talking, when I say tapes, I mean VHS tapes. That was your only other option. Because like with pro wrestling, we had something called tape trading. Okay. Where you would like record a pay-per-view and then you'd send it to your friend and say, hey, if you didn't watch this match, you need to watch it. It was kind of the same way with anime. Yeah, we'll talk about that with the I was like, this episode.
Is like, I'm like, what the fuck?
But it felt very underground. It felt very almost like black market in a way.
Yes.
Where it was like,
wait, hey, how old were you when people were tape trading?
Well, I wasn't. I didn't have internet until much later. So
okay.
And I lived out in like the boondock country with a bunch of rednecks, so nobody even knew what anime was.
Oh, I guess we did do tape trading. What am I thinking of? Because we would, like I told you before, like we had someone that would edit videos to make them appropriate for us, so they were always broke down versions. So we had the tapes where it would be like, oh, we would tape trade. That's true.
Dude, my first ever Dragon Ball movie was Dragon Ball: The Tree of Might, which I have a figure of the villain from that movie downstairs. I just found him here in Thailand. I got so excited. I have him downstairs. I had to have him. But anyway, the first time I ever watched that movie was on a VHS tape that somebody had recorded from television. looked up a translation for it online, and then voiced over with their own voice in English. And it was literally just them talking like through a video recorder, recording their TV. Because remember, this was like the 90s. So they were on a video recorder, recording the movie and talking over it in English, reading a script. So you could hear that's the dirt we had to, that's how deep we had to dig, because anime was just not, the West was fighting it in a lot of ways. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
no, this is amazing.
Its influence was too much at the time. It was too heavy. And it was too heavy. Akira was too much. It was way too much for the West at that time. We weren't mentally prepared for it, I don't think. And so we had to dig to get that stuff. So like it was all Toonami and stuff like that. But we also had something called the Sci-Fi Network, which is still around. But back then, on Saturday nights, they had this thing called Sci-Fi Anime Saturday Nights. And they would play a different movie, a different anime movie, not a show, like an actual full-length film, every Saturday at like 2:00 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Which is probably why I don't sleep very well.
Listen, it's all anime's fault. It's 100%.
I guarantee it.
Your circadian rhythm is linked to anime, and why now you're like, I love you're like, and I don't live in the US, and now I live over in Bangkok.
Yeah, I guarantee it. So Anime Saturday Night was really where I started to, because at this point I didn't know anything about Akira.
Yeah.
Like all I knew was Dragon Ball. All I knew was what I was seeing on Toonami and on Cartoon Network. And I want to hear people in the comments. I want to hear their thoughts and memories about Toonami, because I know you've got them.
Oh yeah, I want to hear everyone's like memories of like your first anime show, where you were at. Like, this is the kind of stuff I'm dying to know. And so then when you guys can get in there, so then because Cody and I are going to dive into the comments. We're going to be doing, like, when we do another episode, especially when we hit back to anime, if a lot of people put comments in there and stuff like that, we want to dive into it deeper. And then even in the future, get some fellow anime fans on here to like discuss different points of view.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm like, my brother's going to be so mad when he finds out that we did something on anime and I'm actually interested in it, because he has been dying to get me to like be like, this is why you should watch anime. Like it's always on his TV in there. And I'm like, you haven't convinced me. Maybe it's just the little brother effect where I'm like, it's being the shit old sister that's like, no, I only teach you stuff, blah, blah, blah. Poor kid.
Knowing who you are, the anime I'm going to talk about very soon will definitely flick your switch. But I want to finish this thought on Sci-Fi Network first.
I'm listening. So
at this point, it was just all Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon and stuff like that for me. Very mainstream anime for the time. Then I stumble onto an advertisement for Anime Saturday Night. And I'm like, hey, this is the same stuff I'm watching on Toonami. This is dope. So I stay up until 2:00 a.m. My dad is like, why are you staying up so late? Blah, blah, blah. And this movie comes on called Project Echo. It's just about this redheaded girl who goes to school and has superpowers. That's all it's about. I did not have a lot of friends at this time. And literally for the next like 2 years, she was my imaginary friend.
Wow.
I loved this movie so much. That I was probably only like 9. So, okay. So imaginary friends. Okay. And,
you didn't have imaginary friends.
Mm-hmm. How many of you got standing behind you right now?
Oh, dude. I was like,
but okay. But seriously, like I loved this movie so much. It impacted me on such a level that she was my imaginary friend. She was the one I talked to when I was alone, or like if we went out in public, like I'd picture her like jumping around or whatever. It was just whatever kids do. But it wasn't just that. It was just what about that affected me so much. And it was because it was so different. It was just so, compared to every other thing I'd seen, it wasn't Bugs Bunny. It was a cute girl with long red hair who could punch holes through robots and just went to school. Like that's all she did. But there was something so captivating about her personality, about the way she was drawn, about the way that anime emotes characters, and the way that they like react to things. And it's like if a guy sees a pretty girl in an anime, their nose will start to bleed. Like it's that kind of thing. That kind of thing is what makes anime so special.
That's another topic. I don't even know what that means, but we can dive into that
Well,
later.
he would like if an anime guy sees a pretty girl, their nose will just start bleeding and they'll start acting
in
like,
the legit movie or in anime.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like a saying that I didn't understand, that like if you see a pretty girl on the street, your nose starts bleeding. And I'm like, wait, is this some type of
fetish?
Yeah, I'm like, am I supposed to know something here? And then people are gonna tell me in the comments like, what the fuck?
See, this is exactly why you need to watch anime.
I'm gonna be like, excuse me?
So after that,
My guys' noses are bleeding all the time. Oh my god.
My guy's nose is bleeding around me all the time.
I don't know. Anyways, okay.
So after Project Echo, I got lucky enough to know that before I ever even watched it, I hit record before the movie even started playing, because I was so thirsty for anime that even if I didn't like the movie, at least I recorded it just in case. I watched the VHS of Project Echo so many times. If you look up Project Echo, you'll see a poster of it. Also, give you an idea of what it looks like. And you can screen share it too if you want to show, because this isn't a very popular one, so it might. Well, it was, but it isn't now. But it was so. Go ahead. Project AKO. That's all it is.
Perfect.
So this movie had such an impact on me that I literally played the VHS until it broke. And thankfully by that time, we had internet and I could order a DVD of it. It was like a burned, like pirated DVD version because I couldn't find it anywhere else.
Oh, I found it. Oh yeah, the redhead. Oh yeah.
But I just loved it. Everything about it is so fun. The animation style was fun. It was just everything about it. I loved it. But the reason that anime sticks out to me so much is because that was the springboard to me watching other anime. Where Dragon Ball was just, I could watch Dragon Ball for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Project Echo was a springboard of me into the deeper stuff. So from that week on, every day, every Saturday night, I stayed up till 2:00 in the morning to find out what anime movie was on. I would record it to VHS. I remember Eyes of Mars. I remember an anime called Armitage, which is a more popular one. I remember watching Ghost in the Shell for the first time on there. I remember watching Akira for the first time on there. I remember watching what was it called? I think Space Train 666.
I did not realize there's so many. This is absolutely blowing my
mind. Oh, dude, it's absurd.
Yeah, and this is what I want to know in the comments. I want to like have everyone's top like 10 lists or top 5 lists, because I think it'd be so cool to be able to just like go through and see everyone's like why, like their top lists, and then diving into like why people picked those top ones, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing about anime that's great is the scope of its potential. So we've talked about Akira, which was highly bloody.
Yes.
And impactful to Western society. We talked about Cowboy Bebop, that was kind of whimsical bounty hunters, you know, flying through space with jazz music. We've talked about Ghost in the Shell, which is a psychological deep dive into what is human.
Yes.
And then we've got stuff like these,
which is where we're going to have to hit on our next episode for sure. I'm like,
how long has it been?
I'm like, I have to wrap in like 7 minutes. So if you can give me it, give me it.
I can't do these in 7 minutes.
I know, and I know. I'm like, I don't, because I know I'm gonna have so many questions. So I feel like this is where we're gonna pick up.
Let me just tell you, these are the anime.
Give me the teaser.
Yes, I'll give you a teaser.
Okay.
In 2025. So these are the anime that will make Olivia an anime fan.
Oh yeah, you know, but then we definitely need to do yes, because I want to. Shit, now you're.
I'm telling you,
it's supposed to be a hook for everyone else, but it was only a hook for me to do another podcast about anime.
But anybody who knows what anime is knows what these two movies are.
Okay, tell me the names, because the names are backward for me, so I can't.
Oh well, let me do this. Does this help?
No, it does. You dick.
So it's Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
Which is actually based on a novel.
Okay.
And Spirited Away.
Okay.
Or Yawa de Tirips, whatever. But these are Miyazaki movies. And Miyazaki is the Walt Disney of anime.
Oh, wow.
And anybody will tell you that. That's who he is. Hayao Miyazaki is the Walt Disney of anime. These movies, you can show these to anybody. Anybody can watch these. unless you're a part of like a, you know, people who don't like magic or
Yeah.
things like that. You know, the same people who wouldn't let you watch Harry Potter wouldn't let you watch these.
Perfect. Okay, so yes.
But these are these are essentially Disney movies. They are the movies that would propel you if you want something family friendly. These are the ones that would get you there. If we're gonna do, we have to do a video on these. We have to,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
these are the ones that are gonna make you an anime fan.
I know, but I will tell you, as a kid, like and this is something I want to touch on later, is like, I probably would have liked the darker stuff because I lived in a world where everything had to be so innocent.
Yep, I understand.
And this is a concept I want to dive into later because I think you and I would have fun with this. I think the whole concept around like kids watching the kid shows, keeping it innocent, all these things. What I think sometimes we forget as adults is that as a kid, yes, I was in a kid's body, but my mind was experiencing adult trauma.
Yep.
Like the world, we always want to be like, oh, keep our kids innocent, all these things. It's impossible.
It's impossible. Yep.
And it's not. And I think it's like we don't give kids credit for how much they understand and how much they actually are comprehending and experiencing. And so when you watch these darker shows, I mean, that's why I sketched dark shit. Like my sister was the same way. Like the book she wrote at like 10 years old, my family was like, where did all this come from? We've sheltered you. Like, where did all this, like, and they're like, I'm like, no, because we want to think that kids don't think about these things, but they feel it. They hear it all around them. And so it is in us. Like, just because I'm in a childlike body, in a sense, you know, small version, it does not mean I'm not comprehending and feeling the level of intensity that adults feel. I just don't maybe have the pressure to solve the problem, which then is even a worse thing for a kid because you can't solve the problem. So then you feel like you're
repressed. You feel repressed.
So then you express yourself through art. You express yourself through the music you listen to, and then parents go, "Oh no, you're too young for that.
Yeah.
You can't handle that." But in the sense, I'm going now. When I look back, I'm like, dude, I handled all my parents' trauma. I was handling a lot of shit at 10 and 12 years old. That everyone goes, oh, no, stay young. Dude, I'm not young.
I always tell my son, because you know his story. I've told you his story. I always tell him, I'm like, you're way older than you should be.
Yeah. But that is life.
Yep.
And so we tell kids they can't watch certain things or can't express a certain way, but yet they have all that in them. And that's another reason why I think creativity is so important, because you need to let your kids create. And whatever comes out in their creations, there's a reason for that. It does not make them demented, weird, whatever. It's like they're holding your adult feelings. They're holding the world inside of them, but they do not have the ability or the right yet. They are not given the right to be able to make a change or to have the money or have the resources to get themselves out of a situation. So they just fucking feel it. So anyways, that's a heavy note to end on, but you know.
Yeah, they repress those things. Well, here's a less heavy note.
Okay, yes.
Anime's awesome.
I'm excited because there's so many questions I always had about anime, and I think a lot of times we don't watch things. I know for me, I don't try new things in the world of entertainment and music and stuff because I like to know why it matters to someone. I like to feel like I'm so many of the things that I do love, it's because I watched it with someone or it came from experience, like we've all talked about. It was an escape for me. Well, now, you know, how I escape is differently, but I'm like, man, I feel like there's just so much about the world I don't understand. So when someone like you is willing to take this time to break it down for me, and that is why I'm so excited about this podcast, just to keep learning about all these things about art, creation, and entertainment that I missed out on, which in a sense to me is I missed out on the understanding of the human mind, because that's where we first start. That's where we first get dirty in the sandbox. It's in our creation space. And so I'm like, I am learning so much about myself and people through this experience and just talking with you. So I, just want to say thank you. I love you so much. I'm so glad that we're friends. And I'm so glad that you live in Thailand, because then we do have to go, oh my God, we have to have like 5-hour conversations because we don't get to just hang out and watch TV together, and I get to learn all these things. So I feel like it's in a way you don't take something for granted. And so I'm so glad that we're finally taking our conversations offline and having it here, that we can now have it with a whole bunch of people that I
have
think
it with a bunch of people. Yeah.
All from around the world.
Dude,
and I get to learn. I'm just on steroids. I'm so excited to learn with everybody.
I'm telling you, people in the comments are going to be telling you the same thing.
All right. All the anime fans that think, listen, I am here to soak it all in. So give it to me. So, all right, guys. Comment below. Let's fucking go.
Comment all the anime things. Tell me stuff about Toonami. I want your memories.
Yes. All right. End with a song. Give me one more theme song.
Of
Toonami. Is there
Can we just do Dragon Ball again?
Yes.
Dragon Ball Z.
And at some point, we will talk about Dragon Ball Z because that was originally the original intention.
That was the original plan.
I had on the note here. We're talking about Dragon Ball today. No, we're talking about the beginning of anime.